So the obvious question now with the injury of CM Punk and and of course along with the dark cloud that floated over WWE over Royal Rumble weekend, and other things as well, Cody winning and such. The question obviously is that a lot of people have. The question that a lot of people obviously have is, how is Triple H going to bounce back from this? How is he going to work around this to where pretty much he gives us a decent alternative to his original plan of Punk and Rollins for the world title? What direction is he going to go in? And also, how is he going to answer people's criticism of, well, Cody won back-to-back Rumbles. Does that mean he's just getting a straight shot to Roman Reigns without any conflict or adversity or trials to go through to make it there? And I think last night was a decent first step in doing that, because he had Drew basically establish himself as the guy that's going to take Punk's place, maybe even with Sammy inserted. And then on the other hand, he had Rollins come out and basically make a very work case for Cody choosing him over Roman. And, to me, what Triple H did here was basically take, the first huge step, in giving us an idea, kind of letting us know, what direction he was going to go in. What path he was heading in when it comes to WrestleMania. I mean, yes, we're going to get Roman and Cody, there's no doubt. But what he's doing by having Seth go out there and think, have Cody think about, his choice, I think is a good first step. In my opinion, I was thinking about this yesterday after hearing what Seth said. And I think, when Cody says he'll think about it, I think what Cody's going to do is he's going to take what Seth said to heart, and then he's going to say, and then he's going to probably explain that that's the reason why he has to beat Roman, because that championship Roman has to be reestablished as the working man's belt. The belt that put this, company on the map. That belt that was looked at one time as the most prestigious championship, in this company, to where, as a champion, you took on all comers every night, every week, no matter who it was. And I have a feeling that will be the argument, or that will be the reasoning, that he gives, Seth. That, look, I understand what you're saying, and you're right. The World Heavyweight Championship has always been looked at as the working man's belt, the blue-collar belt that my dad, helped make it into. But at one point, so was the WWE Championship. And maybe he even cites, what, Seth said about Hulk Hogan. It said, look, Hogan at one time said my father was an inspiration to him and the reason he wanted to be the way he was at first. And maybe you have Cody say, hey, this is why Hogan, when he, after he won the championship, night after night, went from town to town to town and defended against all comers, no matter who it was. So I could see Cody making, the argument of this is why of what Seth told him, and saying, hey, this is why I have to do this. This is why I have to go after Roman. Because Roman's not being that fighting champion we all thought he could be. He's being a coward. He's being a coward. He's letting his ego, run away with him. And not realizing that you're disgracing this championship and not elevating it. So I could see Cody making that argument, in counter to, Seth's proposal. But what this also does too, is it sets up Seth against Drew, or Seth against Sammy and Drew, for the World Championship at WrestleMania. Now, speaking of WrestleMania, your night one main event pretty much is up in smoke. So how do you basically work around that? Do you do Rhodes and Roman in night one and then Rock and Roman in night two? Or do you build up a woman's program, as the main event, as the one that closes it out? And I think, honestly, that would be the best direction. I think that would be the best scenario, to where you have the women, whoever it is, close out WrestleMania. If it's, Rhea and Becky and maybe Liv, you do a triple threat for the women there to, align with the potential triple threat between the men for the world title, and then you have the women's world heavyweight championship close out between those ladies. That's one way to go. I mean, Rhea has earned it, there's no doubt. After all the hard work she's put in, and the ascension she has done, there's no doubt about that. Or do you close it out with Bayley and Io, because of the history there when it comes to damage control, and the fact that Bayley, we'll probably find out on Friday, when she chooses Io, says, hey, look, I see what's going on here. I'm not stupid. I see you guys are trying to kick me out of the group I created. I'm not falling for it. So if you want to kick me out, then why don't you do it, why don't you do it to my face at WrestleMania? You could do that. Or if you want Bayley to still play into the fact that, oh, we're a group and everything, it's not going to matter who's the champion as long as the belt's in damage control. That's one way to do it too. But I think option A is what we might see on Friday. But yeah, I think Triple H, this is going to be a big test for him when it comes to working around these situations, and I think he's going to answer that challenge. I think he's going to answer that challenge in a big way. Even if he does have in the back of his mind that he might be somebody that gets pulled in to be talked to about the whole Vince McMahon situation and what he may or may have not known, I think he's going to be fine. Like I said in the previous video, I think what may happen to him is he might get fined, he might be put on probation, and then he might have somebody watching him, keeping an eye on him for at least, I would say, 90 days to about 6 months, 3 to 6 months, to basically send a message of, hey, next time you know about something like this, you let us know. You tell us right away. So that's the only punishment I think Triple H will face, because everybody likes Triple H. Everybody loves him. They appreciate the job he's done, as the head of creative, Booker. They love going to him for advice, so they don't want to lose him, because if they lose him, I guarantee you Ari Emanuel is going to lose the locker room. He's going to lose the entire company, if you will, that he bought. So I don't think Triple H has anything to worry about, except maybe a fine, probation, and having somebody keep a close eye on him for at least 3 to 6 months to send a message. Now, with that said, how are we going to be building to WrestleMania? Like, what, how do we get there? Like, when are the decisions going to be made? Well, it seems Bayley's is going to be made on Friday, so we'll pretty much have an idea, we'll have an idea of how they build to that, when that decision gets made. But as far as like the ladies go, we know that Rhea is going to take on Nia at Elimination Chamber, probably more notably in the main event, the closing out match, because she's from Australia, and you want to have a big moment, right? And what bigger moment is there than for Rhea to be the second woman or third woman, whatever, to basically outpower and dominate Nia Jax. Basically show Nia, hey, you might be big and strong and you love pushing people around, but guess what? There are some women here, like myself, and as we saw at Royal Rumble, Jade, that you can't push around, you can't bully, and that we're always going to stand up to you. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to have Rhea in the main event, closing out the show against Nia, and then on top of that, she'll be confronted by whoever wins the Women's Elimination Chamber. Whether that's Liv, whether that's Becky, or maybe both. Maybe we get a double pin and both get into the match. Who knows? But I've got a feeling that's how they're going to close it out. And if it's Becky, then obviously that's going to be your main event for night one. Because again, the original main event, poof, is, went up in smoke. So we'll see what happens there. But I could definitely see that occurring. And as far as Rhodes and his decision, I think that decision will be either made next week on Raw or SmackDown, or it's going to be made at Elimination Chamber. And that's how you get Roman to Chamber without competing. You have him show up, you know, he's just there, you know, just to hear Cody's decision, and Cody makes the decision in front of 60,000 people. And I've got a feeling what's going to happen, I was thinking about this too, I've got a feeling, you know, Cody is going to announce a special stipulation for the match. You know, I could see Cody doing that. You know, to avoid history repeating itself, I could see him, because I was thinking about this, like how can history not repeat itself from a match perspective? And I thought to myself, well, there's two ways they could do this. They could do this by either having Cody come out and announce that nobody's allowed to, you know, have the general managers, but mostly Cody, say nobody's allowed at ringside, you know, for this match. Or he could go one of the two other ways. And one of those ways is, you know, announcing that they're going to have a match that Roman's never been in, but he's kind of been in, but only partially, and that's a 60-minute Iron Man match. Or he can announce that it's going to be a Hell in a Cell match. That's, you know, basically containing both him and Roman without interference, hopefully. So I think that's when, you know, I think that's the kind of match we're going to get at Mania. We're going to get Cody's announcement either between now or Elimination Chamber, maybe at Chamber. And he's going to make the announcement that it's either going to be, you know, 60-minute Iron Man match or Hell in a Cell. That's just my opinion. But I just wanted to give you my thoughts on how they're going to try to get to Mania after all this confusion.